On Tuesday, Microsoft announced that it is intending to acquire the raging dumpster fire that is Activision Blizzard for nearly $70 billion, making this both the highest valued acquisition in Microsoft's history as well as the gaming history in general. So, let's talk about it. The merger, if put into effect, will catapult Microsoft to the number 3 spot for the largest gaming company worldwide, behind Sony and Tencent, and potentially it could also save Activision Blizzard from its raging flames. Bobby Kotick, known dirtbag and CEO of Activision Blizzard, seemed reluctant at best to sell. After last year's breaking news of a 2-year-long investigation turned into a suit filed by California's Department of Fair Employment and Housing, Bobby and the other heads of Activision Blizzard were sent into a flurry, where their best solution was apparently to just lie to everyone and destroy any evidence, which they got caught doing, which then caused the DFEH to file a second suit at the behest of the Activision Blizzard shareholders, whose shares were obviously fucked by this whole web of lies. Though the general employee populace put in a great deal of work to have AB change, including the introduction of a zero-tolerance policy, it was decided by someone there that Bobby could not be subjected to the new policy because there was not sufficient evidence against Bobby. So when Microsoft offered to buy, Bobby shamefully didn't want to sell. He even tried finding others to outbid Microsoft, who was offering them just a measly $70 billion. The board at Activision Blizzard had enough at this point and forced Bobby to sell, and it's crazy that it was this hard for him because this deal is incredible for Activision Blizzard. It literally saves them. A merger doesn't take away the charges, but it does lend you the abundant wealth of Microsoft, who is able to fund anything and everything with their broad product line. It just, further points to Bobby's fragile ego and inability to turn the company around. If the merger goes through, Bobby will serve as CEO through 2023, where the company will then be absorbed into Microsoft's new full-on gaming department with their now CEO of Microsoft Gaming, Phil Spencer. Phil has had nothing amazing to say about AB or Bobby, speaking outwardly against them in November of this past year. But analyzing interviews with him until this week, we can see a bit of a language shift leading up to this merger. Poor Phil has had to really try to sell this as not a horrible idea, and it's not, but it led to him equating the shit show at AB to Xbox having once held an event where scantily clad women danced around Xboxes in 2016, which, sure. I feel for him though. So Phil is not going to scold anyone, and instead seeks to use Microsoft's resources to make AB a legitimate gaming studio again, which again, could work. Microsoft has always had a mindset of acquisition over development, which is where they differ from their notorious rival Sony. The PlayStation 4, Xbox One era was won by Sony because of their attractive exclusives, games and studios that they had crafted over decades. But in this new era, particularly an era of streaming services, Microsoft may begin to develop the upper hand. This week, Microsoft let Bobby make the absolutely unhinged statement that the two companies have similar values and think about our cultures similarly. Now that sounds like a PR Chernobyl, but he's actually right in that Activision Blizzard, which he has run since 1991, has primarily always also had that same acquisition mindset, gobbling up Blizzard in 2008 and the mobile development studio King in 2015. As an aside, the Blizzard merger in general is one that I think we can say was kind of a failure. Hearthstone and Overwatch were big, and Overwatch was a really genius idea for the COD plus WoW studio, but nearly every other Blizzard title suffered immensely, and it's pretty clear there never was Diablo 4 or Overwatch 2 really being made because the company was stuck in a full-on investigation, and it had also been seriously stagnating in general because they were too busy crop dusting co-workers and having parties in the Bill Cosby suite. Anyways, acquiring AB could be great for Microsoft, who had just acquired Bethesda the year prior. Microsoft also tried getting Nintendo, which nobody's getting Nintendo, thank God. Phil seems to lead a tight ship though, and AB, while it has been staggering over the last few years, does have the potential to be pretty womaned back into something profitable, especially Blizzard, which desperately needs loving hands. So the Microsoft Activision Blizzard merger may all sound like charity so far on Microsoft's part. Why would they buy this company that's been mismanaged for over a decade when Microsoft has never had the carefully crafted studio mindset like Sony? And for $70 billion? Even Nintendo hasn't been valued that highly. Surely rehabilitating AB will take about as much time as working on your own creations would. So why? The answer has a few parts, but ultimately, Activision Blizzard has a wide catalog of successful, beloved games that fill several gaps for Microsoft. First off, adding all these games to Xbox Game Pass utterly shits on Sony's plan to start a Game Pass, which they just announced last month. The merge also serves to give Microsoft a strong catalog of PC games, which they didn't really have before. Now Microsoft owns your OS, your console, your method of getting games, and the games themselves. Oh, and the backend with Azure. Everyone say thank you, vertical integration! Lastly, absorbing AV allows Microsoft to enter the ring I hate the most but every stonk man loves the most, The mobile market. Mobile games are almost all asinine because of forces like this, but it's also the bulk of the gaming market. Microsoft will now have King, the makers of Candy Crush, to propel them forward in the mobile market they're very interested in. And part of why they're so interested in this market is because this corner will allow them to compete with 3 other major companies. Tencent, the makers of League, who actually predominantly make mobile games with some PC titles mixed in. Take-Two, the owners of Rockstar and 2K, who literally this month acquired the second highest cost game acquisition of all time by buying the mobile studio company Zynga. And finally Apple, who runs the extortionately lucrative App Store. So that $70 billion figure starts to make a lot more sense, especially when you consider that games like COD, WoW, Overwatch, and mobile games like Candy Crush are all games with in-game economies that generate significant real-world profits. And when we start to see the scope and scale of this, it's reasonable to have fears. Right now, Microsoft will keep cross-platforms open. We've already seen that with Minecraft, which they haven't done too bad with, but this is a lot of sharks in the water for Linux and Mac users. To be fair, I've never understood Mac gamers, but even then, it's still a lot. Many are talking about antitrust, and I can tell you now this is not getting broken up. We said it at the start. Microsoft is only the 3rd largest gaming company now. You don't typically break up the 3rd biggest company. It doesn't scream monopoly to be number 3. In the future, they could rise above both Sony and Tencent though, and if that does happen, we're obviously going to be boned. But right now, they're only number 3, and AB being of this much use to Microsoft is purely hypothetical. To help the people who are reasonably scared of the growing power of Microsoft, let's consider how many things Microsoft tried to be the best at but failed. Think about Microsoft Edge, who cries and has a mental breakdown whenever you even think about downloading Chrome. How is the company that made Windows gaming and allowed Steam to happen and failed to compete with that on their own OS going to globally dominate? In the long run, Microsoft could subsidize their worst products, platforms, or games with the abundant wealth Microsoft has from its professional product line, which is a cause of concern and it could lead to a race to the bottom. Ultimately, it's a costly gamble on Microsoft's part, and a lot of trust is being put on Phil right now. If he can shape things up around there, it'll be transformative for Microsoft. But even if he doesn't fix everything at that dumpster fire, there's still several avenues of value that could be fulfilled by Microsoft. For the gamers, Xbox Game Pass is going to be a pretty solid experience. I'm hoping the catalog AB has can be saved by Microsoft because I would love to see a successful Overwatch 2 and just an overall return to form from Blizzard. It does lead to questions on what would happen to Battle.net and how a WoW subscription would work in the future, because getting a WoW account with Games Pass would honestly be busted. So yeah, Phil's got a lot of work to do and Bobby's got a lot of fucking off to do. Best of luck to Microsoft, and thanks for watching.